Sebastian Philip Burke 22 years ago, Bach was anything but an ordinary kid. Even at the age of 4, he showed signs of things to come. He fronted one of his first bands, Kid Wicked, at age 16, and went on to play with a few other bands before finding Skid Row and making it big.
So how does it feel to be back in Peterborough, your hometown, and to be a celebrity, walking by all the t-shirt shops, and there you are?
Well, I tell you, the most poignant analogy I can think of to demonstrate the level of my success, if one day I knew I would be doing an interview in the same room where they filmed Campus Quiz, I know I'm doing something right. No, it feels great, man, you know. I used to walk down the street, down George Street with long hair, and people going, "Oh, look at that guy! You can't play with him. You can't play with him, kid." You know. But now it's like, "Can I have your autograph, or would you, want to go out to dinner or something?" So it feels really good.
Are you here on vacation, or what is it?
I'm here to see my brother graduate from Queen Mary, which he did tonight. Congratulations, Zach. All right. And spend some time with my parents, who I haven't seen in 18 months. So that's basically, I was going to go swimming at Inverleigh. Of course, I don't want to lose my hair, so I think I'll just go in my dad's pool. But
have you seen any of your old friends since you came back?
Yeah, a couple. They're off doing other things. But Greg Alfred is one of my buddies. I saw him. Yeah, a couple people. They're doing different things. It's hard for them to relate to what I'm doing, but people are people. And why should it be that you and I... that's another song.
You grew up here in Peterborough?
I tried to. I always said if I ever do grow up, I don't want to be around for it. So, no, I attempted to grow up in this city. Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
PCVS.
Till grade 12?
Actually, I went to Lakefield College School. You know, the short-haired guys that all look the same with the green jackets. I was one of them for a couple of years. Which is kind of a weird thing. I was like the only guy wearing gray flannel pants and a green dinner blazer with a Motorhead button on the lapel. And Mr. Mulligan, if you're watching, Mr. Mulligan, you probably remember this. He used to bring me in there, and he'd say, "Sebastian, I want to have a serious talk with you. Sit down." And I'd be like, "Oh my God, what did he find out that I did?" And I'd sit down, and he'd say, "Do you realize that you have the reputation as a rocker?" And I'd go, "Oh, right, thank you." And he'd be like, No, you don't understand, But, that's the true story. I didn't say that. I like being known that I stand up for what I believe in, and I don't conform to what most people's idea of a lifestyle is, or what my job is a lot different than what other people do. But, I sleep very well at night, and I've seen the world about 3 times in the last year. Been around and toured and basically lived my dream, which is a lot more than other people can say, so I'm a very happy guy.
What are the rest of the guys in the band doing while you're on this hiatus?
Sleeping, drinking, and having fun. They're in New Jersey where they live, and so I came up to Peterborough, where I used to live.
What kind of
doing that home thing.
What kind of bands do you listen to in your spare time?
Milli Vanilli, New Kids on the Block.
That's what I thought. I knew it. I shouldn't even have asked.
Jane Siberry's a real big favorite of mine. Metallica. Oh my God, he listens to that crap. Oh no. I listen to very offensive, rude music, like Metallica, Judas Priest, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. You get the idea.
Because it's offensive and rude, or just?
No, just because I like it. And it's kind of a form of music that you have to fight a lot of people pointing their finger at you, saying, "Don't be like this," "Don't be like this," and it takes a lot of guts to be a metalhead, if you know what I'm saying, because a lot of people have preconceived notions and don't realize that some of us did, go to good schools and do know manners. I mean, I was invited to go to dinner with Nelson Mandela at Robert De Niro's house last week, but my brother was graduating in Peterborough, So people, that's just more important to me, I mean, I have all that stuff if I want it. I can hang out with, the president of Atlantic Records if I want, but the guy's 60 years old, he's in a suit. I'd rather hang out with the guy skateboarding down at Beavermead, because that's me,
You're still the same guy as before, that's what you're trying to tell.
For better or worse, yeah, that's true.
So, basically, you've been with Skid Row for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find the band? And
well, they kind of found me, actually. I was playing in some bar bands in Toronto for a couple of years, and I noticed that there was a very kind of an attitude against heavy metal in this country, that the Canadian record companies don't really sign a lot of hard rock acts, and I wasn't going to come out with Mimi on the Beach or anything like that. So I went down to America, where the top 10 bands, like Aerosmith, Motley Crue, and AC/DC, and that's the kind of music that Skid Row plays. So I just went down there, and I went to this guy's wedding, this rock photographer that I knew, and some of the guys in Skid Row were there, and I had a couple beers and went up on stage and sang a couple Led Zeppelin tunes, and they asked me to be in their band. And they didn't have a record deal, they didn't have a big management deal. All they had was songs, and they were nice guys, and I thought I'd like to be in a band with these guys, and we made it. So.
Did you have any idea then that you were going to make it as big as you did?
Well, if you asked me, I would have told you, yeah, but but deep down, you never know. You just do what you can, and you try to sing your best, and put 100% into what you do. And I actually learned that at Lakefield. If you really want a shock there, yes, it's true. But that's what they taught a lot at that school, to really put everything you got. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a president, if you want to be a lawyer, or if you want to be a singer in a rock band, you have to give it everything you got, and that's what I did. And now I'm here.
A lot of people might say that it's not very patriotic of you to go to the States and look for a band and look for someone to join there, like Stompin' Tom, and people becoming very patriotic. How would you answer that?
Well, I'd rather be rich and unpatriotic. Call me a goofball. But, we've sold about 4 million records in America, and I really, I don't, I love Canada, and I've talked about Canada in every interview that I've done, and, told people to go check it out, because it's a great country, and, come on Chex News here in Peterborough, like when I'm off the road, just because I like Canada, and this is where I'm from. But the point is, if you sell a gold record in Canada, it's 50,000 copies, right? So you have to make, say you have 1 gold album in your life, or 2 gold albums, right? You have to, save that money, and it has to last you the rest of your life, so you're 60, right? But if you have 1 gold record in America, it's 500,000 copies. So it goes a lot longer. You know what I'm saying?
A lot more.
Yeah. And, there's been some things like the Juno Awards. I wasn't allowed to be on there because my band is American. Although Steven Tyler did wear a Skid Row button on his shirt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Steven Tyler's of Aerosmith.
Right, yeah.
American, so
yeah,
it's kind of...
And, but, I think it's just a fact that people... I wasn't going to stay here at 16 years old and play the Gasworks for the 40th time when I got in a band in America and played Giant Stadium in front of 80,000 people at the age of 19, I mean, again, I sleep pretty good at night. I don't feel unpatriotic in the least.
So how can the Canadian music scene change to help bands make it more here without moving?
I think they should have more guts, and not think that the world, begins and ends with, I don't know who some of these bands, Mitsu or Mishi or whatever her name is. I'm like watching this stuff, and does anybody get into this? Because the ultimate sin in rock and roll is to be boring. Love it or hate it, feel an emotion, and unfortunately, a lot of the Canadian bands that they sign are boring. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just what my friends and the people that I hang out with look at it, and they go, click, 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 And I think they should just have more guts and realize that there's a lot of 14-year-old people out there, 15-year-old people, that just don't get into, Jane Siberry. They're not the type of band. You don't see Jane Siberry on the back of a jean jacket walking down George Street. You know what I'm saying? You see Led Zeppelin and rock and roll that's heavy and exciting and young and, really, really people that are into rock and roll, and not just they do it as their job, and they conform to this way. I think that Guns N' Roses broke down a lot of barriers in rock and roll for honest rock and roll, and just for, street punks like me that just want to, play music and be themselves. And they broke down a lot of barriers, and I think that was a good thing, because now you're seeing a lot of honest rock and roll come out of the world, and I think it's a real good thing.
What does the band Skid Row think of all of the restrictions being put on rock music?
Well, I think it's a bunch of garbage, you know. I told this story on Czech Snooze. We played Moscow in the USSR last summer when it was still communist, and I was all worried, you know, if I swear, are they going to send me to Siberia? Excuse me. You know, if I do this, if I shake my hips, am I like going to be banished to the eternal winterland of Russia or whatever, you know? And so I said, what can I do and what can't I do? And they said, do whatever you want, man, no problem. So I did my show. 2 weeks later, came to Augusta, Georgia, and I got arrested for holding my mic in front of, down here, because they said it was simulated masturbation. And I'm saying, wait a minute, Russia, America, which one's communist and which one isn't, you know? I think it's a real scary situation, and I think that George Orwell was only about 6 years off, if you want the truth. Because, you know, I mean, the funniest thing is you get these idiots in the PMRC that are in Washington who are saying you can't listen to rock and roll. And I want to say, hey man, what the hell were you doing when you were 19 in the back of the Chevy listening to Little Richard? Were you guys playing checkers? You know what I'm saying? I mean, grow up, man. Like, you know, it's okay for you, but it's not okay for your kids. They must have turned out real screwed up for them not to want their kids to have the same experiences they had. That's just basically what I feel about it. Glad I ain't on tour this summer, man. It's Two Live Crew, they're cracking down.
Tell us what happened.
Well, you just saw what happened, and as you can see, it was an unfortunate incident. It again comes back to the fact that, for better or worse, I am the same person that I was playing the Gasworks or playing the Red Dog. And if I was playing the Red Dog Tavern, you know, I'm only 22 years old, right? If I was playing the Red Dog Tavern and someone cracked me in the head with a bottle and I cracked him back, you know, none of this would have happened. But I'm Sebastian Bach, you know, and I got this responsibility. I don't look at it like I have more responsibilities. I look at it, now that I made it, I have many more irresponsibilities I have to live up to. You know, it's just a situation where I handled it, you know, it wrongly. But it's hard for me to accept that I have all these other people caring about what I do, you know. I mean, I just approached it like if I was walking down Young Street at 1 in the morning and someone cracked me in the head, I'm cracking him back. And I'll still do that tomorrow, you know. Maybe I'm a criminal, maybe I'm a, you know, but the thing that was really bad about it, the guy that whipped it at me, you know, walked out of the situation with 30 grand in his pocket for walking up and whipping a bottle at somebody. And, you know, the girl that got hurt was a totally bad situation, and I'm really glad she's okay, and that was the biggest concern through this whole thing, not whether I was going to go to jail, but whether she was all right, you know. And it was something that happened that is never going to happen again, but I would like to see if I walked up to the DA and cracked him in the face with a bottle. Oh, thank you very much. Hey, can I have another one, please? You know, stuff happens.
So what happened? What was the outcome?
Well, as you saw in the piece that we just played, I just had to pay a truckload of money. And I got 2.5 years probation. It was like, zoom, 4 Ferraris. You know, you know, basically. The girl's okay, and that's all that matters.
So what's next for Skid Row?
Well, we're going to start rehearsals on our next record in September, and then we're going to go record it either in Miami or the Montserrat in the Caribbean, where the Rolling Stones work. And we're going to start that in like December, January, and we'll be coming back, I guess, spring '91, with a big tour. And we have a real talent to discuss, nauseate, and generally make people pissed off at us, which we are going to use well into the '90s.
Great.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to say to Peterborough?
Peterborough rocks.
And so does Sebastian Bach.